I don't know about you. It's been equal parts relaxing and insane this week. Moments of calm, moments of bonkers crazy. But let me tell you about my afternoon. This afternoon, today, at 11:50 a.m., exactly, I had a date to be in front of my computer, to be signed in to Ticketmaster, to wait impatiently in line for my friend to help him get Springsteen tickets. This was my first experience with the queuing on Ticketmaster and how you wait for a concert. I've never done that before. Turns out it's quite exciting. I felt a lot of anxiety. I felt a lot of nerves. There were 5,800 people in line in front of me, and then there were 3,200 people in front of me, and then I looked away for what felt like 2 seconds, and suddenly there were only 300 people in front of me, and I'm on the phone with my friend who's doing the same thing, because we're trying between the two of us to get the number of tickets that we're looking for. He got the tickets. Don't worry. We're seeing Springsteen. But here's the thing. We had very different reactions to this experience. My friend said, "Wow, this is so exciting. Why don't I get to have this feeling about more things in life? I wish I felt this way about more things." I said, "Really? This was awful. I never want to feel this again." There's something about that feeling that for some lifts us up, and for others, like that pit in my stomach of that, oof, what if I don't get it? What if there aren't enough tickets? What if there are too many people in line in front of me? We're all very smart. We could take this concept and apply it to many other aspects of our life. But what it got me thinking about is this concept of a scarcity mindset. I think many of us fall victim to a scarcity mindset. And very simply, a scarcity mindset is a psychological concept that's based on the belief that there is not enough for me. There are not enough resources for me to have what I need. There are not enough opportunities for me. I live in a scarcity mindset, you might say to yourself. There's never enough, resources are limited, and that leads to a sense of anxiety. Now, you might think that it also leads to a sense or a focus or of more precision thinking, right? There aren't enough resources, and therefore, I'm going to be laser focused on making sure I get what I need. Perhaps there's more clarity. But yes, in the case of tickets, this was a sense of focus, and it's also relatively low stakes. So we're very happy we got Springsteen tickets, but okay, we would have survived if we had not. But it leads to this short-term poor decision-making in real life, right? If you're worried that there's not going to be enough for you, then you might not think about everything else. You're thinking about only that one thing. And I'm not talking about food scarcity. That's real. Like, there are real things here. But in general, a scarcity mindset leads to not seeing the full picture. And I think, for me, this is one of the biggest Jewish challenges that we face as a community. It's been throughout our history. We have focused a lot of energy on our challenges. As a Jewish community, we talk a lot, and I'm not blaming us. We have plenty of reason to talk about the hardships throughout our history, the challenges we have faced then and now, drawing comparisons to then and now. And it's not just anti-Semitism in a modern world. We look at Torah, and we see this scarcity mindset. Our ancestors wandering in the wilderness saying, "Oh, all we've eaten is manna, and there's not enough of it. Why don't we just go back to Egypt, where they had, there wasn't a lot, but at least we knew what was coming." So that mindset has really been with us since the very beginning. And we focus on what we might not have, and to me, that's the biggest problem. It's not that we focus on what we don't have. It's that we think ahead and we worry. We Jews, we are worriers. We worry about what we might not have. It's not even factual. And one of the spaces I've encountered this the most in the past year or so is I've been a part of a fellowship with the organization 18 Doors, which is a wonderful organization that focuses within a Jewish context of interfaith welcoming and inclusion. And I've learned a lot from them, and the fellowship will continue through the fall. But one of the main points that we've talked about is something that we are all familiar with. This deep concern about interfaith marriage and interfaith relationship within the Jewish community. Because there are those who say, we cannot allow interfaith marriage because it will lead to non-Jewish children and then Judaism will be over. Now, when I talk with folks who have that concern, the concern comes from a real place, but I say, look, we've been having that conversation for generations, and we're still here. So I know it's hard to let go of that concern, but might there be space to let go? Might there be space to expand our thinking? And what I've learned from 18 Doors is really that the more open we hold our doors, the bigger our community can be. The more space we have, the more people who join us. I always talk about a family I grew up with through religious school as a kid, whose parents, one was Jewish and one was Catholic. And I will tell you, their Catholic mom was in the synagogue far more often than their Jewish father. She was the one who not only drove them to religious school, she was the one who volunteered in the religious school. She was the one who helped with the parking. She was the one who helped with the fundraiser. And if you didn't know, you would never know she wasn't Jewish. But she didn't talk about it because at the time, it was very, very much not talked about. It was not open. And the real progress, I would say, we've made as a Reformed community, and the real joy I feel in our community in Kol Ami for holding those doors as open as possible, for understanding that we learn far more from one another if we let each other through the door. If everybody has a seat, both physically and metaphorically, we are stronger for it. And we know that when we have research that tells us that when communities are welcoming to interfaith families, then those children do grow up with a very strong Jewish identity. It is only when interfaith families are not welcomed, when the doors are closed, that those children have no Jewish identity because there's no Jewish space for them to practice within. And that's what the research tells us. Now it's about getting the research out there. It's about learning from it, and it's about growing from it. And I often say within the context of my fellowship and my cohort, well, that's amazing. I don't know how to put that into practice in my community. We're already really good at that. But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about how we can do even better. I'm thinking about how we can stretch and expand because we are known for being welcoming and including of folks of all religious backgrounds in our community. Look, this is also something that happens in this week's Torah portion, but in this week's Torah portion, I see it as a positive. This week we read Truma. In Truma, we are instructed to build the sanctuary, right? The very, very famous line, V'asuli mikdash v'shochanti b'tocham, build for me a sanctuary so that I may dwell within you, God says to the people. Not within it, within you. God asks us to build something so God can be with us. But before that line, the very famous line that many of us know, the instructions to build the tabernacle, the sanctuary, tell us that each person should bring with them what they have to give and what they are moved to give. Yes, there are many very specific instructions, this many dolphin skins, this many golden rings, this many that, this and the other thing. But in this Torah portion, we're told, every single person within the Israelite community is instructed to bring what their heart moves them to bring. And to me, that's not a scarcity mindset. That's an abundance mindset. That is a mindset that says each and every one of us has something to give, and for each and every one of us, that something is enough. And when we all bring our gifts, when the doors are wide open, and when, as a community, we build together from our hearts, then that is when we truly build a community that God can dwell with and that God can dwell with us. So this Shabbat, think about what that gift is for you. What is your gift that you bring to our community? We see them every day, but you may not even know what you're bringing. So this Shabbat, I hope you'll spend some time and think about the gifts that you bring. Shabbat Shalom.